Good morning. I am feeling much better, much better. You can see I've got a little mascara on, a little chapstick. Um, what is it? When you don't feel good, you just don't even try. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling much better. And I know that a lot of you prayed for me. Thank you. Thank you. Because, it feels good to feel good. When you haven't felt well, it's just nice to wake up and feel normal. And today's devotion is hitting early. I read my devotion this morning and I was reading through Proverbs 30. It's in my reading plan. And it was an interesting Proverbs. It's actually very thought-provoking and it really puts some imagery in your head too. I'm actually not going to read it all. But I encourage you to read it, if you get curious like me when I hear those little things. But it's a fun chapter in Proverbs. It was very thought-provoking. And near the end, it was just all this imagery. And I'm an English major, so it's the way it was written too. It's just kind of fun to read. But what I felt like God was kind of opening my eyes to this morning was just a small portion in Proverbs 30. And then I opened up my Bible app today, and it was Luke 12:15. And I'm reading that, I'm like, wow, that really reminds me of that piece I read in Proverbs 30. And then I reread Proverbs 30, I'm like, wow, that really makes me think of the Lord's Prayer. And then when those moments happen, that's when I'm like, okay, God has something to say. And usually whatever he's saying to me, I just share with you because I figure I'm human, you're human. I'm fallible, you're fallible. His word is for all of us. And whatever I am learning here, hopefully you can too. That's my process. Welcome to Jamie's process. It's not always that simple. Today was kind of easy. It was like, oh, I really feel like you've got this one message in mind. So let's dig in. Proverbs 30, and we're just going to read 7 to 9, this one little portion. 2 things I ask of you, O Lord. Do not refuse me before I die. Keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread. Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal and so dishonor the name of my God. There was 2 reasons this stuck out to me. One is I love this play of neither poverty nor riches. And I've felt that before. I like that my husband and I kind of ride the line of poverty. I would say in America, we're considered poor. But geez, in a third world country, we'd be considered rich. So extremely ridiculously rich. But even though I consider us kind of poor, we pay our bills, we feed our family. Come tax season, we put a big nugget away in savings, and that helps get us through the year when emergencies crop up, like with cars or just unexpected bills. God's been good to us. And so this stuck out to me because I always felt like, God, you've kept me from riches. And in a way, I'm really happy about that. I've seen so many people, money's addictive. And when you have it, and it's not so much the money, it's what the money gets you, certain possessions. I've noticed the one temptation I have, and it's gonna sound silly, but it's something I've caught in myself since I was in college, and it's nonstop. Starbucks coffee. And it's not just because I like it, because I love coffee, but I'll even drink it black. This is black coffee right here. There's something more about it. I get a feeling of prestige from it. And I remember catching myself buying Starbucks coffee when I really didn't have the money to do that. When I really needed a new pair of shoes, or I really needed something else. And it started to bother me that I would do that. And I felt like that's the Holy Spirit working on me. Why are you buying this? You are satisfied with black coffee. Why are you spending so much money to walk into work with your Starbucks? And that's really what it was. It was that image of walking in. I'm not poor if I can walk in with my Starbucks. And when it hit me how shallow that was. It was so embarrassing. I was so ashamed. I still do it sometimes. It's like a habit. I'm trying to, die down. Like, okay, enjoy a treat of Starbucks every once in a while. But that feeling I get, it's not even the Starbucks. It's that rush I get walking into a workplace or a family gathering or whatever with my Starbucks. Jamie and Matt are poor, but they can't be too bad off because look, she spent money on Starbucks. And it's so ridiculous. But that is like one of those weird quirks I have. And I'm sure you have them too. There's that one thing that makes you feel like you're making it in life, or that just makes you feel comforted or okay, or the list goes on, right? Those things that we glomp onto for those little bit of endorphins. And I read this and it reminded me of that struggle that I have. And this line, otherwise I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal and so dishonor the name of my God. I've never stolen. I mean, maybe in my childhood. I remember being sneaky in my childhood, but as an adult, I just think of how I stole from myself. Being a bad steward of my money, stealing from my actual needs for the image of Starbucks coffee. And just how, like, in a way, I'm ashamed of it, and it's silly. And in a way, I feel like I did dishonor you, God, because you ask us to be good stewards of our money. And I'm a mother now. And obviously that's curtailed since I've been a mom, but it's still there. It's still that struggle I fight. And it's, okay, I am a mom. I have a home. I have these responsibilities. These come first. And even then, should all my extra money go to Starbucks? What about my husband? What if he wants something? What if my kids need or want something? How selfish of me to steal from the family because I want a Starbucks. Oh, sorry, we can't afford that right now. And inside my head, because I bought Starbucks all week. I don't know if you've ever caught yourself doing things like that. Just those little things where the flesh, you know what I mean? It's not exactly a sinful moment, but it is kind of a dishonoring of God and your family and even yourself, because when you stop and think about it, you don't like it. You don't condone it. I don't condone those actions. I don't condone me putting myself above my family to get a Starbucks fix. And for other people, it's different things. For my husband, it's knives and guitars. He loves his knives and guitars, but then he's more honest. Like, he'll have a discussion and he'll find the best deals, whereas I'm just every day getting a coffee quietly. Not anymore. I don't do that anymore, but I remember those days. And I just think I don't want to dishonor the name of God, even with the little stuff. The closer you get to God, the more you feel him penetrating through all the layers. First, he deals with the obvious stuff, right? And if you are still being burdened by those obvious sins, this might feel silly for you. But pack it away in the back of your head, because one day you'll be where I'm at, where the obvious stuff is kind of out of the way. And then you'll find out they weren't even the biggest deal. It's those little things hidden away, really. Deep down, those are the things that really kind of led to the bigger sins. Those little struggles to push God off the throne in your heart and put yourself on it, right? And I've gotten far enough in my relationship with God where I'm starting to catch these little things. Oh, I'm dishonoring you when I do this. Okay, got it. And then decades of habits trying to kill that. It sounds silly and small, but it's so hard. Like addiction to sugar, like people who've been addicted to sugar, and the moment they try to cut it, that's hard. And think of decades of a habit, and a habit that gave you endorphins, that gave you that feeling of, I'm okay. Look at me, I've got a Starbucks cup. And this is my example. That's hard to kill. And I'm having to learn to be okay with my black cup of coffee and my little church cup, no fancy thermos, just being okay with being humble being okay with being simple and laid back. And I'm going to make another confession here real quick. And it's not really related to money, but it's something I felt God pushed me to immediately from the very beginning that I started this channel. If you saw my Facebook, you would see that I typically, at least for what I present and at church, and if I go out on a date, things like that, I wear a lot of makeup. Here, it's mascara and some like chapstick with it's got like a tint. But I felt from the very beginning, God said, this isn't about you. This isn't about how you look. This is about my word and how I want you guys to interact. So from the beginning, I just didn't even wear makeup at all. And then I was like, okay, I just look so tired. When you're used to wearing makeup and you don't wear mascara, you feel tired. So I put the mascara and chapstick on just to kind of feel like, okay, I don't look sickly to you guys. But I removed that part of my ego, because part of my ego was the Starbucks cup, and another part of my ego was feeling pretty. Like, it's simple. That's simple. I love red lipstick. Look me up on Facebook. You'll see most of my profile pictures, I have red lipstick. I love red lipstick. It makes me feel pretty. But it isn't really a humble presentation of yourself. And God has been working on me in ways where I have really grown. And those moments of makeup are like once a week. You know, I'll dress up for church. But even then, the red lipstick has kind of slipped to the sidelines. I'll wear it for my husband for a date or something, but it's not too often now. And it's because a lot of the ego inside me, I feel like God is taming. We don't realize how much of our ego takes over sometimes. And I'm not saying makeup's bad or anything like that, but I just feel like when it becomes such a crutch, you should question it a little bit. Why do I feel such a need to wear this and such a bright color? One, I love red. I've always loved red. But it's a statement, right? And what's the statement I'm making? And if it's a healthy one, I'm not judging you. I just know that when I look into me and I see those little things of ego popping out, the closer I get to God, I just kind of want to let him prune them away. You know, I just want them gone. I don't want anything holding me back. And I didn't want makeup holding me back on this channel, because it wasn't about how do I look today. It's about what does God have to say today. And I want to honor him. I mean, at the heart of all of this, it's really that last line, and so dishonor the name of my God. And the reference of this is talking about money, right? Greed. But at the end of the day, I don't want to dishonor God, period. Now I'm going to move on to the Lord's Prayer, because I love this one line, but give me only my daily bread. Immediately I thought of the Lord's Prayer. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, so Matthew 6, verses 9. This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. I love that before we even get to the daily bread part, it is putting God in his place. Because why? Give me only my daily, in Proverbs 30, give me only my daily bread so that I, right, don't dishonor you. I don't want to dishonor you. This prayer is flipping those. You're giving all glory and honor to God, right? Hallowed be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I always think in my heart too, in my mind, in my heart. And then this line, give us today our daily bread. Give us today our daily bread, our daily needs. And you can take this in so many ways. Our daily bread, our daily bread, our daily bread. It can mean many things. Provide for me as needed. I don't need to have an abundance, right? But again, I like that one line, but I also don't want to be so impoverished that I'm tempted to dishonor you. All right, now Luke 12:15. But actually, I'm going to back up to 13. It's the parable of the rich fool. So we're going to just read that whole parable and maybe break it down a bit. Starting verse 13. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." Jesus replied, "Man, who appointed me a judge or arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed." Oh, that part. All kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions. And he told him this parable. The ground of a certain rich man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, "What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I shall do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." The American dream, right? Right there. But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich towards God." It's so convicting. It's so convicting. And we have to realize, again, it's more than just money. It's greeds of any kind, right? He said, watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Greed comes in many forms. And I think that's why my greediness with the Starbucks cups it surprised me. It wasn't what I expected. I wasn't greedy for money. I wasn't even greedy for really nice clothes. It was a nice, tricky little greed. The greed of, I feel like I'm okay because I walk in every day with a Starbucks cup I can't afford. And that was a form of greed. It was a form of wanting to appear better off than I was. And I think of this rich man, already rich. Notice it says that. He's already rich. And he has this abundance of grain. And instead of thinking to give to the poor, I'm already rich, or to give more to God, right? God's people, or to the poor. He's thinking only of himself. He's thinking, okay, I'm already rich. So if I build bigger barns and all this, then I can retire. I'm done. I don't have to work anymore. Let's just, what does he say? Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. And it makes me think of that line in the New Testament. And I'm saying New Testament because I don't know which one it is, where it said, if there is no God, then fine, eat, drink, and be merry. He's living as if there's no God. As soon as I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like, right, if we're wrong and there is no God and there is no salvation, then forget what we have to say, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you prepared for yourself?" There's more to this life. This world around us is so busy keeping our eyes right here. And in very practical ways, bills, jobs, responsibilities, things that are inevitable. But then it's our decision how much those get to rule us. We are not to let them rule us. We're to be responsible. We're to be good stewards. There are so many proverbs on being a good steward and not being lazy and not being idle. And I'm reading through Proverbs and it was so convicting. In fact, I finished it today on Proverbs 31, what it means to be a good, godly wife. And so convicting, working hard, not being lazy, being responsible. God does expect us to work hard and to be good stewards and to take care of our family. But he also doesn't expect that motivation to be greed or self-gratification. He expects it to be to honor him and to love our family, to provide for our family. So it's like there's that balancing act of, yes, God expects you to be a hard worker. He expects you to step up, right? There's a lot said against being lazy and idle. And I'll admit I can be very lazy and idle, and my house will suffer for it. And in turn, I'll suffer for it, because instead of doing dishes periodically, I'll have 2 sinks full and a counter full, and I pay for it because I was lazy. And that's just a silly example, but there are other ways that are almost more detrimental. God wants us to step up to the plate, to honor him, and to not let greed take over. Greed is so hard. Give us today our daily bread. I don't need more, and please, I wouldn't like less, because I love that line. I don't want to be tempted to steal or to dishonor you out of my poverty. You know, you think of those moments when someone is so hungry, or their children. See, I could take my own hunger, but if my children were hungry, the temptation to steal would be very strong. I'd probably try begging first, but I could see, if I thought that was my only resort to help my child, it'd be really hard not to do it. So it's like, give me my daily bread, Father. I don't want to push you out of my life like that rich fool did. Eat, drink, and be merry, like there's no God in heaven to honor. But I also don't want to be so poor that I dishonor you with living in the rat race of survival, right? And I don't know where this gets you today. Maybe you don't deal with greed at all, but pray about it, because it might be as sneaky as my Starbucks cup. It may be something little and small that you've never considered before, something that is unnecessary in your life that you've made necessary. Does that make sense? Something that is not required for quality of living, but you've made it something you need. Americans are spoiled. I don't know how many times I'm just praying, God, I hate that I'm an American Christian, because I know it limits me so much. I'm so spoiled that when I think I'm being persecuted, it looks nothing like someone being persecuted in a third world country who's a Christian. Nothing. And like I said earlier, even poor in America is so filthy rich compared to someone in a third world country who's poor. I don't know what it's like to go hungry. I don't know what it's like to feel starvation, malnutrition, not having health care, right? We are spoiled. So we have to almost pray for him to just kind of remove our American perspective. Please open our eyes to the things that we are greedy about, but from an American perspective wouldn't look greedy. He honors those prayers. The more I pray, open my eyes, clean me out, purify me, get rid of the selfishness and the things inside me. He honors those. And they kind of suck, I'll be honest. When you see the little icky parts inside you, it sucks. But at the same time, it's so relieving to have it revealed so you can work on it, so you can give it up, so you can say, I'm going to let this go. I need your help. And it's a process, and you just have to trust him, because he's there. He's there for us. He's so constant and faithful and patient, and he honors heartfelt prayers, especially if they're a prayer aimed at bettering our relationship with him. He honors those. The prayers that tend to get silence and require patience are prayers that are really just self-gratifying, But prayers aimed at pleasing him, they get answered pretty quickly. And you know what? Get ready for it, because it's not always pleasant, but it does lead to joy. I think that always must be said, because sometimes people have an adverse reaction when they pray, Lord, search me to the deepest parts of me and reveal what's broken. And then when it's revealed, they're like, oh, I didn't want to see that. But she did, because now he can fix it, right? Now you can offer it to him. And if it's greed of some sort, which I'd argue, because we're in America, you're probably struggling with something that's related to greed. And it's probably a possession of some kind. Or it's probably just that one little thing that makes you feel good. And it's not that that's evil, but how far have you let it go? That's for you and him, not for me. But this was the bent of my morning is, okay, God is my daily bread, and I'm going to trust him to provide for me. And I'm not going to go beyond my means. And I'm inspired to be a better steward of what he has given me, to appreciate what I have. And when there's an abundance, find a way to honor him. Unlike the rich fool who was like, woohoo, retirement, eat, drink, be merry, like the rest of the world who believes there's no God. I don't want to be like that. And I know you don't either. We want to honor him. We want to live for him. And oh boy, his word is rich. The things that he opens before us, it's bountiful. So daily bread right here. If you want to feast, here's the feast. Forget the Starbucks coffee. Talking to myself. This is the feast. You guys have a good day.